So the purpose of this overall call is to provide you with the opportunity to meet and ask our Senior Vice President of Operations, Charles Furlough, questions. Charles has owned his own Pillar to Post franchise in North Carolina from 1998 till 2007, in which at 2007 he moved over and joined our home team here. So I will be going in a round robin format. So if you have a question at that time, I will call on you alphabetically by first name, but please don't feel any pressure. If you don't have a question, please just say, hey, I'm going to pass on this one, and we'll come back just before everything ends. So before we actually get started, I'm going to pass it over to Charles for some opening remarks. Charles?
All right, thank you, Giselle. Yeah, so it's obviously this is a Q&A. So and actually, Giselle, I came over to this side of the equation in 2008. So it was one extra year there. But yeah, I can speak to you a little bit as a franchisee. I'm in Raleigh, North Carolina. I started a franchise way back when Pillar to Post only had about 50 franchisees, and most of those were in Canada. And so when I started, we spent about as much time talking to people about why you should have a home inspection as we did why you should use Pillar to Post. And that has changed radically because, you know, over the years, it almost became a given that when people bought a house, they were going to have a home inspection. So now that we've got the supply issues in the market that we have, we spend a little bit more time now talking about, hey, I know you're in a hurry. I know the seller's, you know, being a seller, but you still need to have a home inspection. But still, it's kind of the given in the industry. So things were different back then, but by the same token, it was amazingly similar to the way it is today. Buyers are buying houses, sellers are selling houses. It's one of the biggest things that they're doing in their life or have ever done in their life. And realtors are still making their living by selling homes, closing on homes, and the home inspection really matters to them. So it's like everybody that's involved is really involved. So that has not changed in 20 some years that I've been associated with it. So I can speak to you a little bit about being a franchisee. We did grow a pretty good sized company here in Raleigh. So I can speak about employees or any of that type of thing. But I'll be honest, you know, there has been another 14 years that I've been in it where I've been on this side. And I you know, in the first couple of years I had this job, most of what I spoke about was my experience. But now, almost everything that comes out of my mouth really doesn't have to do with my experience. It has to do with the experience of the hundreds and hundreds of other franchisees that do it and do it every day that we work with closely. So I can try to mix the two a little bit there, but I think there's a lot more experience that I can speak to from the experience of so many other people than just myself. So anyway, that's about it. Giselle, I'll be happy to answer anything I possibly can.
I have a question about the phone answering service. Can you kind of give me your opinion of the current service? I know you haven't used it as a franchisee, but I'm sure that you hear the good, the bad, and the ugly from franchise owners. And I know that there are people who are always going to be unhappy. I totally understand that. But I just kind of want a really realistic view from you of the phone service that's currently used by Pillar to Post.
Yeah, no, I'll be happy to do that. So that's a long story. It's interesting that you said you talked to however many people, but none of them use it. And I bet all of them had a negative viewpoint of it, right?
Yep.
That's always interesting to me. You have a negative viewpoint about something you know nothing about? Is that what you're telling me?
Well, no, and they did say that to me. They did say, we haven't used the new service, so we can't tell you about the new service.
Right.
They said the previous service, and a couple of them had like pretty large teams, like, several home inspectors, and they said with multiple territories and with multiple inspectors, it can get kind of complicated. And I did see that we only have to use it for 2 years after signing, so that at that time, if we feel like we want to move and have our own call center and we have them properly trained to be able to handle, I totally get that. But honestly, I'd really love to use the service that is there.
Well,
Um,
and you very well may. So let me just speak to that. So the number one thing to do is answer the phone. Like, it sounds silly to say it, but it you have to answer the phone. You have to answer it full time, professionally. You got to be able to, if you get an online request for an inspection, like within minutes, you have to take it, contact those people, get it confirmed. If you don't, it just goes away,
right.
right? So many people, if they call and they have to leave a voicemail, you call them back an hour later,
Yep, they're
they're
on.
gone, right? So the number one thing is you have to answer the phone full time and professionally, period.
Right.
Okay. So if we accept that as a given, then we have to go to, okay, how do I do that the most efficiently and effectively possible?
Right.
Okay. So let's say you get started in the business, and you're right by yourself. And so you've got really two choices. You can have the what we call EZBook Connections answer it for you, or you can hire someone locally to do it full time and professionally. Well, EZBook answers the phone something like 80 hours a week. Well, you're not going to find one person to answer the phone 80 hours a week. But even if you went to 40 hours a week, how much in this day and time would you have to pay a responsible person to sit there for 40 hours a week and answer the phone?
Right.
I mean, I just saw a sign the other day, $19 an hour to work at McDonald's. Okay. So the cost of hiring someone full time and professionally is pretty prohibitive when your revenue is low
Yes.
and you don't have that much inspections going on. So the EZBook Connections actually only charges you when they book an inspection.
Right.
So there's no two ways about it. It is by far the most effective and efficient way to spend your money when it comes to answering the phone 80 hours a week. There's no doubt about it. If you look at the numbers that they have, the upgrade rate, the number of times that they have a customer buy a premium or a prestige versus just a plus, it is actually above our overall company average. They sell added services very well and they book really well. However, here's the however. It is a group of people. Like, you don't have your own particular person who answers for your company. It's a whole group of people that answer. Some of those people are in Toronto. Some of those people are in Nevada. Right. So they do not know when somebody says, "Yeah, I'm Jill at Remax over by the McDonald's." Right.
Right.
They don't have a clue who that is.
Right.
But if you were answering the phone locally, they would.
Hmm.
Right. So that really personalized, I know my little town type of thing, you don't get that with a call center.
Right.
What you do get is people who know how to work the system, can very quickly, easily, efficiently get the information, book the inspection, do the upgrade, send the paperwork, right? They can do that just boom, 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 ridiculously cheap compared to you doing it locally.
Right.
Now I will say that the reason that the reason that I know it doesn't just work for people that are just starting and don't have a ton of revenue yet is some of our largest franchisees use EZBook Connections full time every day, and they do have enough revenue to
Right.
hire their own people. But then you get into hiring, training, people quitting, people going out on maternity leave and on and on and on, right?
For
And
sure.
we don't have that issue with EZBook Connections, and that's why a lot of those bigger guys also use EZBook Connections. So is it all great? No, there are some downsides to using a call center. Is it horrible and nobody should ever use it? Absolutely not. I think it's not the best thing for every single franchisee we have, but it definitely is the best thing for the majority of our franchisees,
Okay.
for the vast majority, actually.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And you're absolutely right. Certainly the most cost effective. And I certainly can't hire somebody 80 hours a week to answer the phone for me all the time. And I do, I think the upgrades, like they know exactly how to sell the upgrades that come along with that are potentially, that can come along with every home inspection. So super, super good points. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.